welcome to the Scrumdown, where we talk everything rugby. My name is Skulk and I am joined by CZ.
Hi everybody.
So CZ, it's quite a hectic and busy rugby season. We're into the Southern Hemisphere competitions and there's a lot of happenings. How are you feeling? How are you surviving? Are you still breathing after all the action?
Well, Skulk, I really need your help because I am a newbie to the sport. I know basics. And after today, I think I'm going to know a hell of a lot more. I'd love for you to give me a bit of a walkthrough on how things work and what the latest news is.
Okay, well, I think let's jump into it. Listen, it's not something we're going to cover in one episode, so let's see this as a work in progress. But I think let's get into it. So first up, let's have a look at what's making news in the world of rugby.
Well, one of the things that I have knowledge about, I did read about it and I do know that apparently Sia's coming back to South Africa. What's up with that?
Yes, he is. So last year he signed with the French club called Racing 92. So this was a big move for Sia, and obviously it came with, I would imagine, quite a big payout. He was slightly criticized when he was playing in France, anything from being overweight to, as they refer to as, transparent. When he was selected for the Springboks, however, that myth was definitely put to rest quite quickly. So he's coming back to South Africa. It's breaking news. We're not confirmed the club yet, but all indication is that he will be rejoining the Sharks in Durban. So we're all looking for that.
His teammates are super excited.
And I think just the Springboks in general. So usually the rule is that your captain needs to be in South Africa. I think Rassie wants to keep him nice and close.
I think for us South Africans, we're super excited and proud to have our captain coming home.
Absolutely. What else is trending at this stage, you think?
Well, I know that Argentina had quite a big win.
That's right. So we're going to get into that with our breakdown. But yes, it was actually quite a historic win. So this is the first time ever that they beat a country by 40 points. As much as that's going to be fantastic for Argentina, this is also the biggest defeat for the Wallabies.
I've heard certain whisperings about a gentleman named Malcolm Marx.
Oh,
What's up with that?
Yeah, so Malcolm Marx, also in the fourth round, quite a historic win over the All Blacks. Yet again, we're going to cover that quite shortly. But he managed to score 20 tries. Now, it's significant because this is the first time a South African forward managed to reach 100 points in his test career. So to put it in context, overall, he's within the top 10 now, and he's edging people who's wingers, who's made to score tries, which includes legends like James Paul and Dani Gerber, to name a few. So quite a big achievement for him, and the scary part is he's not done yet. So still more to come from Malcolm Marx. I think let's jump into the Rugby Championship.
So as far as I know, the round 3 and 4 have just recently happened. I am secretly jealous because I have a little bit of FOMO. I saw a lot of my friends were at the game at Ellis Park. I believe you were there too. So let's hear firsthand what happened there.
Yeah, listen, that was a sellout Emirates Airline Park in Johannesburg. Crowds were rowdy. So Ellis Park, or Johannesburg, is known for quite a hostile environment. It was definitely didn't disappoint. There was a lot of electricity in the air. The All Blacks came in, obviously a little bit under pressure, losing the previous game, and now going and facing the Springboks. So in that game specifically, CZ, we did see that, well, let me put it this way, it actually started off with quite a controversy because, as you know, when we start the game, it's with the haka, right? So quite a big traditional thing. Halfway through the haka, unfortunately, there was a Boeing that came across, which was obviously planned but slightly mistimed, coming across Ellis Park with music playing, and there was fireworks going all around. So the New Zealand public did see this as quite a disrespect. I think it was just more a technical error, to the point that the Springboks actually had to ask forgiveness after that game, but it seems like all was forgiven after that encounter. Quite interesting enough, though, the All Blacks started the game quite quick out of the blocks, which was, I think, a bit unexpected. We thought that the Springboks will really want to push the dominance to the point where they're actually leading halfway through the game. To be honest, they still led right up to about 10 minutes to go before the end of the game. things turn around. Springboks, and that's really the character of this team, where they turn things around. We saw tries by Kwagga Smith as well as Grant Williams to seal it right at the end. That was a victory of 31-27 for South Africa. So close game, but highly entertaining, and really that crowd really just went mad. As I was going back, I was traveling with the Gautrain station, and between Park Station and Gautrain station, 2 hours after the game, spirits were so high. They were singing, and it's really just being proud to be a South African.
One of the most beautiful things I can say is when it comes to sport in South Africa, we really give the gees, which in translation is the energy, the festivity, the unity.
Yeah. And it's just, again, and I think very symbolic for 30 years of democracy, where you saw that happening in '95 Rugby World Cup. Very similar feeling you get in the air, and it's all races, all walks of life. Everybody singing and dancing. It was fantastic.
That's the spirit of togetherness, indeed. One of the things that I read about was the South African Springbok rugby coach, Rassie Erasmus, has a particular style with regard to the tactics. And we see that happening over and over with regard to the opposing team gaining ground in the beginning, and then we just come and finish them off. Is that standing true? Can we say the same for round 4? Or is there
definitely
something
the case
happening
in round 4? To be honest, when Rassie started with his coaching, typically those are the games we did not pull through, especially when we were trailing with a few minutes to go. This new Springbok team is really a different caliber, and the confidence just oozing. And you can see, even if they're trailing, that confidence that they know they can go back. Also with the new attacking style that they are playing, it really gives them more options to them, where in the past they really focus on scrums and lineouts, which was traditionally South Africa's strong point. Now with a new attacking coach in Brown coming from New Zealand, sharing a bit of that experience, we really see a much more attacking style, and seemingly that's just very effective in those last closing out minutes of the game. So let's quickly jump ahead then to round 4. So we see South Africa traveling to Cape Town in this case, right?
Again, the weather was great. I was not there, so not so great.
Yes. So thank goodness this time around the haka was respected. There was still a plane going across, but I think they learned their lessons, and that was well orchestrated. The weather also played around, and we know it was terrible weather in Cape Town leading up and even the day after, but on the day, Cape Town gave its best for probably one of the best test matches we've seen in a long time. So obviously the All Blacks wanted to get revenge on the Springboks, and we did see that. It was one of those typical hard grinding test matches. By half time it was only 9-3 in with the All Blacks leading. No tries, but it was physical, it was dominant, it was really you can see a high pace but really physical game. Same thing happened again. Feels like we have kind of repeated ourselves again. South Africa coming from behind, closing it down. It was a fantastic try by Marks, like we mentioned. That really set the pace. We saw Siya Kolisi, even though he picked up an injury in that first test match against the All Blacks, came back and really smashed it up. So at the end, it was a close game. We saw the South Africans pulling it through, edging it 18-12.
Sure.
And just breaking those All Black hearts again. I think they really felt at some point they were in the game, but just show the class of this team. So
I believe that all our wins against the All Blacks is quite a historic situation
this is
here.
quite
I would
historic.
love for you to
Yes.
explain that.
Okay, so this has been the 4th win in a row, right? So the only time we managed to accomplish this, wait for it, 1949.
Wow.
And that was over a span of about a decade, because at those times, obviously, they only hardly played each other. So, and we managed to extend that to a 6-winning margin. But to win 4 games in a row is quite historic.
And that's what, in less than a year?
Well, it all started with the first game before the World Cup, where by chance, Springbok did put up a record score against the All Blacks in that game. Next up was the World Cup final, that rematch, and edging by 1. And we're looking at this ball here, which got the score on. So 1-point win at the end, and the last 2 rounds. And it's just, it's really the dominance that South Africa had over New Zealand. You have not seen this. Now, Cece, another quite interesting fact is that this is the first time that New Zealand did not were trialists by the end of a game.
Wow.
Last time this happened was back in 2007. So yet again, a very notable win for South Africans, and it will really put them on the front foot going forward, I'm quite sure.
As my resident rugby nerd / guru, I would like to know, for projections with regard to the All Blacks versus Australia moving up,
Yeah.
What do you think that holds for them? Do you think they still have the upper hand?
You know what's quite interesting, Cizi? I think if you look at the championship so far, you saw the Australians winning Argentina and then horribly losing against Argentina. Very similar thing happened with the All Blacks. Remember, we've covered this in the previous episode where the All Blacks came in also confident and actually lost in New Zealand against Argentina, only to bounce back with a massive score in that second test. So I think with the pathway thus far, it's quite similar. And also keeping in mind that Australia and New Zealand both lost both their games against South Africa as well. So very on par. But this current Australian team is really not good. And I think this is the opportunity now for the All Blacks just to kind of get the confidence back and to make sure that, listen, we still right up there. We deserving number 3 spot in the world. So I think we'll see quite a different change going forward.
That's quite interesting. As you mentioned in our last episode, Argentina is the newcomer to the power trio.
Yeah.
So now they're a what do you call them? You can't really say foursome.
Quadrate maybe.
Awesome foursomes. But yes, what is the strategy behind their tactics in playing? Are they a good team? Are they showing potential?
Yeah, Argentina has always been, and especially in the past decade or so, really been up there. I think since the 2007 World Cup, where they actually ended up finishing third in the World Cup with a bronze medallion, they've really been going through strength by strength. What makes them quite dangerous is they really play with passion. You see when they're going to the anthems, there is tears, they are crying, they are motivated. I think what also makes them strong is their scrummage, very strong, and because of the size of their pack, always quite dominant at the front. They have been lacking a little bit with attack sometimes in the back line where they're just not bridging those defenses, but passion is there. And that might also be the reason why with the first encounters with both Australia and New Zealand, you see them catch off guard because they're so into the game, but really hard to motivate yourself 2 weeks in a row to deliver that same performance. Unfortunately for them, they haven't won a rugby championship yet, but who knows? I think they've got a really strong team, very consistent. They have quite a few older players, so there might be a bit of a dip when they do lose some of these players, but overall, I think still very much a competitive team out there.
Well, the cat's out the bag. You did say they did not win any games in the championship yet. I do believe in round 3 they played at La Plata.
Yeah, so that was one of those really weather conditions not great. It was drenching, to be honest. On the TV you could hardly see the game at some point where it's just downpour. So one can expect a very slow game, very rather guys reverting and the players reverting to a more forward dominant game because it's lower risk and you can really use the wet weather to gain momentum, and that's exactly what we saw on the day. So Argentina came through again leading from the front, and they out of the blocks quite quickly. However, the Australians did come back, and especially with that forward play and especially with that scrums, you saw them fighting their way back. To be honest, this is one of those close games where Australia was down by 2 points right at the end. Then came a goal by Donaldson and won the game right after the buzzer actually already went. So at the end of the day, the score was 20-19 for Australia in that first test.
What happened in round 4?
All right, so we saw Australia leading Argentina by 20 points in that first half, and that was for the first, let's say, 30 minutes of the game. Argentinians were nowhere to be found. Australia really dominated on all facets of the game. Come second half, I'm not sure if the Argentina coach really gave it to the team, but they came out firing to that point that they managed to score 9 tries unanswered.
Wow.
They just ran through Australia as if they were nothing. So I'm not sure if the Australians also were a little bit relaxing because of the lead, but there was just no answers. And they were scoring from all angles, from all facets. Everything just worked for them. And at the end of the day, we looked at a 40-point winning margin, 67-27. So
wow, that is massive.
So we actually saw a massive comeback, probably the biggest ever.